Okay, let's talk about gear. I've got a bunch of different items right here, and each one of these things have been carefully curated to actually have an impact on the way that you create videos. I'm gonna put together a video using every single one of these pieces of gear once we've gone through how these will benefit and unlock ways you can film that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. They're all at a budget-friendly price point, and you can find the links to every single one of these products down below. This video is sponsored by K&F Concepts, but I've thrown in a bunch of different pieces of gear that I feel will allow you to create content that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. I'm always trying to think of ways to create more dynamic shots of solo video without anyone being there to help you. You're wondering how I might have been able to achieve this shot that you're watching with movement in it of myself without anyone helping me. This is gonna unlock that. Let's talk about it. I can basically set my camera up on here and either mount this to a tripod with this stabilizing arm to just give it a little bit more stability, or it even has these little feet, and if I wanted to do some sort of product shots or have it on a surface, I could very easily do that as well. So maybe if I wanna showcase something like this awesome matte box that we're going to be talking about later, I could have my camera on here and get perfectly smooth and repeatable shots every single time, which is great for things like transitions. This one's from Canova. It's a pretty cool little slider. One of the more expensive items on this list, but it is pretty amazing what it allows you to do, and to be able to just get all of these dynamic shots of yourself and add a whole new layer of like interest into solo film shots. This thing is pretty impressive. There are a few filmmaking items that I have purchased and then used and never really not used from that point on. Some things are quite gimmicky, you use them here and there, sometimes like when the time is right. But there's one thing that once I've had it, I literally do not take it off my camera and I do not stop using it. And it's this right here. This is a black diffusion with ND, and basically what this does is it gives you a really cool soft roll off on your highlights and blooms out any kind of like highlight points in your frame. It makes this really soft look, and it also has a little built-in ND here so that I can control my shutter angle with it. If you're unsure what I'm talking about, let me just show you right now. So on this lens, I have another one of these, and if you take a look at any of these light sources like this one, or maybe some of these, if I take the black diffusion off, you can see how much sharper and harder everything looks. It looks way more digital, and this is totally fine. In my opinion, I way prefer the look of this. Watch all of those little lights. Completely bloomed out, soft. It gives this like glow to your footage while having kind of a nice soft image that just takes a bit of that digital sharpness off. One of the reasons why I really like this one is because it has that built-in ND, and it has fixed stops, meaning it locks off when it reaches the max amount of its ND so that you can really control that image without going over and getting those weird like X patterns or anything. It comes in this nice little box. Super cool. And like I said, probably one of the only filmmaking products ever that once I've purchased one, I literally just never take it off of my camera again. If you've been in this filmmaking game for a while like I have, there's absolutely no doubt that you will understand the importance of lighting. But sometimes you need a specific type of light for a specific type of scenario, just like this shot that you're seeing in the Porsche, because I can't get a huge big light in there. One of these like big plug-in lights. I don't have power when I'm out filming, but I still want a little light that I can fully control how my image is going to look in the long run. You can actually control the kelvins, making it either super warm like this if you want it, or super cold like this. It's got nice little quarter 20 mounting threads everywhere, as well as being able to be powered by USB Type-C. Super nice. It's got a cool little like dial system here with a few different functions, brightness, a couple little different settings you can go through. Amazing little light, and you can see how in shots like this in the Porsche, where I just wanted to add like slightly more depth into my shot, I can put this light strategically within the car to give it this really cool look that I otherwise wouldn't be able to achieve. Moving on to our next product, and one of my absolute favorite things that I have been using also for getting more dynamic shots when I'm filming solo, but in just a general way of filmmaking, you can create a huge amount of variety in your shots with one of these. It's a magic arm, and this clamp, this one in particular is from iFootage. These are amazing. You can basically just loosen this up and move it however you want. Clamp it down on something that you want to attach it to, and it's like super stable, super locked off. It's not going anywhere. I've been using this so much for like warehouse build out videos, putting it on the edges of like pieces of wood, the same as the shots you saw in the beginning of this where it's like fully moving. You wouldn't really be able to do that without one of these. It creates a really unique and dynamic looking shot that would be very, very difficult to achieve otherwise. The next thing, and sticking with the theme of the Porsche and the car, is this little suction cup mount. I've been super into filming like car things and van life videos, a whole bunch of different things like that lately. And this has allowed me, again, when filming by myself, to be able to get these really cool shots outside of the car. It has these 3 different suction cups on it, making it really, really strong. It's also magnetized, so when you do clip it onto the car, it kind of just sucks in and really locks down. Even if you try and get this thing off without like pulling on these little tabs, it's a struggle. So you can see here, I can have these shots kind of like looking back through the window at myself or anything like that, which I wouldn't really be able to achieve without one of these. Now, it's up to you how risky you want to be with your camera. I maybe wouldn't advise putting your big expensive camera on here without tethering it to something. I've just got this little cord so I can tether it and have that extra layer of security, because if your camera falls off while you're driving, it's not going to be a very good thing. Now here's the thing, to go with filming through that car window, you might come into the problem of having this huge glare on your window. That's normal. If there's sun shining on it, it's going to be even worse. And ideally, you want to be able to see into the window so you can see the person driving that car. And that is where one of these come into play. This is a CPL, which is basically a circular polarizing filter, and what this allows you to do is cut glare. So it's not only for windscreens, this can be used for things like the ocean or any form of water, and if you want to make the water look like way more crispy and clear, by putting on one of these circular polarizers, you can cut all of that glare off, and you can just twist it to when it cuts that glare out for you, making your shot nice and perfect, without any of that gnarly reflection in your shot. So remember early on we spoke about that ND filter. ND filters are super essential. If you ever want to get the correct shutter angle, so you have the right amount of motion blur in your shot to make it as cinematic looking as possible, as well as things like when I put that camera onto the car and I'm getting these driving shots, by having motion blur, I can put my shutter speed just a little bit lower than what is actually recommended. And it makes it just feel like you're really going a lot faster. All of the road or anything on the side of the road moving past has this like cool blur to it, which makes this very, very cool look. Now the thing is, ND filters are absolutely great. And like our little black diffusion with a built-in ND, this is what I'm using almost all of the time. The problem with these is once you stick on a super wide lens, you can actually sometimes end up getting like a bit of vignette around the edges, because you can't really get one of these that are big enough that even if you're super wide, you don't see any of those rims. So those are very high quality, and no matter which ND filters you have, that is going to be the case as well. But here, this is a matte box with ND filters built in. This allows the ND filter to be way bigger than just the size of the lens. It has this really nice little locking system where you can swap out different pieces of glass These are incredibly high quality, having zero effect on your image, your contrast, your like color space. And this also allows you to get other cool things that you can put into here, like gradient filters, where it's darker on top and lighter on the bottom. Maybe if you're shooting some sort of sunset, this kind of unlocks a whole different like level of image control. And let's be honest, it also just makes your camera and your setup look super badass. If you rocked up on set to something where there's a client shooting, and you have one of these on your camera, instant professional, looking like an absolute cinematographer. Comes with all the little adapters, so you can fit it on any like common size filter thread that you want, and it just punches right onto the front of your camera like that. This is also nice to have this matte box because you can block out some of the like weird glare from the sun or something if you didn't want it, and just have the filter set like that. It's got a bunch of cool little mounts on it. You can change everything. It also has this really nice quick release, so if you had it on your camera and you wanted to take it off, you could just punch out the back, and then this would stay on your camera. We've got one more sneaky little product here for you, and once you've done filming your super sweet video with all this crazy dynamic shots, you get back and you actually need to put that edit together. And this is where this very, very cool Pro card reader from Freewell comes into play. If you've ever had a computer that doesn't have the card reader that you need, it's highly, highly annoying. And having these stupid little adapters that often slow down your footage or are just cumbersome and ridiculous, it's such a nightmare. I've been there and I've done that, and I'll never do it again. This Pro card reader from Freewell not only has all of the little card slots that you might want to store memory cards if you have backups, so you can literally have them in here and just have this in your bag and you can whip it out. It doubles as that card storage, but then it also has every different like card reader that you would need here, all super fast, going through USB-C that you can plug into your computer. So we've got like a CFE-A, a CFE-B, an SD, and a TF card reader all in here. It's in this really nice like metal case. It's got a little lanyard holder. This thing's super cool. Once you get back home and you want to start editing your footage and then put all your cards back into here, it's going to be a huge, huge help. If you want to find out anything more about this gear, remember it's going to be linked in the top of the description. Other than that, have fun. Bye.